Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, you're welcome to Sew with Mediva. And if you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you for sticking to my channel. So in today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to cut and sew this simple bustier top with draped sleeve. So you can wear this top as an off shoulder or you can wear it on your shoulder. And this video is very detailed guys, very easy to follow and very beginners friendly. So if this is something you are interested in, make sure you keep watching and make sure you watch it till the end so that you don't miss out on any detail. And if you find this video useful, if you find it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, share with your loved ones. So let's jump right into the tutorial. So I made use of this African print fabric, about 1 yard, and I made use of this soft net, about 1 yard of it, for the draped sleeve. So you can use any fabric for this sleeve depending on what you want. You need your lining, your tape roll, your scissors and your chalk. So I'm going to draft this on a pattern paper first before we transfer to the fabric. So let's go ahead to do that. So on the pattern paper, I've gone ahead to mark my basic vertical measurements already. So I'm going to show you guys how I came about these lines. So the first line here is the shoulder line where we'll be taking all the vertical measurements from. So from my shoulder to my bust point is 11 inches. I've gone ahead to mark it. From my shoulder to my under bust is 13.5 inches. From my shoulder to my half length is 16 inches. And then the full length of the top from my shoulder is 22 inches. So go ahead to mark your own appropriate measurements. So I'm going to be drafting this in form of a basic bodice before we move over to the bustier. So go ahead to label the lines just as you can see me doing in the video. So the next thing to do is to place the shoulder measurement. So come over to the shoulder line and place your shoulder to shoulder measurements divided by 2. So mine is 8 inches. I'm going to mark 8 inches there. So note that this paper is not in a fold of 2. So from that 8 inches, come down by your round armhole measurements divided by 2. So mine is 9 inches. I'm going to mark 9 inches there, and then I'll connect the 2 points together. Connect the 2 points together. So I'm going through this method because I want you guys to understand everything that I'm going to do. So then I'll further extend the line to form the chest line this way. So I'm just going to mark out a simple neckline, even though we're not going to need it. I just want you guys to understand everything that I'm doing. So I'm just going to take 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, and then I'll connect the 2 points together. So I've gone ahead to create the simple neckline. So the next thing we want to do is to place the dart line. So to get the dart line, go ahead to divide your nipple to nipple measurements by 2. So mine is 4 inches. So I have 4 inches. I'm going to mark it on all the lines this way. After marking, I'll take my ruler and connect the points together. Then after that, I'll go over to the shoulder line and measure what I have there. So I have about 5 inches there. I'm going to take the midpoint of 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches, and then I'll connect it now down to meet the dart line. So after doing that, the next thing is to place the darts. So guys, I'll come over now to the under bust line, and then I'll take 1.5 inches towards this angle, towards the side, and then I'll take 1 inch towards the center front. So if you're on the small side, you can do 1 inch on both sides, and then on the lower part I'll just take the 1 inch on both sides of the line. So I'll connect the points together this way and also connect the other one. So after that, I'll come over to the bust line and come down by half of an inch. You can do 1 inch. I'll take half of an inch, and then I'll use my curved ruler to just connect the points this way. I'm going to set my curved ruler very well, and then I'll connect the 2 points this way. So after doing that, the next thing you want to do is to determine where you want your own bustier to start from. So I'm going to take from the shoulder line and come down by 7 inches. So you can do 6 inches, you can do 5 inches, just depends on how low you want yours to be. But for mine, I made use of 7 inches. So for the over bust tightening, I'm going to do 1 inch on both sides of the line. So if you're on the small side, you can do 0.5 inches on both sides. So take your curved ruler now. So before you do that, go ahead to connect this side. This is what you have, and then connect that 1 inch now into the bust line this way. So this is going to be for the over bust tightening so that your tube will not be pulling down. So this is what we have after doing that. So I'm just going to go ahead now and rule that 7 inches line straight so that I'll know that this is where my top is going to start from. I'll roll it down straight. So I'll be discarding the upper part of this pattern. So I'll just go ahead to further extend the line. So this is where the top is going to start from. So I'm going to be discarding this upper part. So let me just go ahead to fold it in so that it don't confuse you guys. So this is where our top is going to start from. The next thing we're going to do is to place the round body measurements. So on the bust line, I'm going to place my round bust measurements divided by 4, which is 10.5 inches. So I'm not going to be adding that 2 inches we took for the over bust that. I'm going to just add 1 inch. So that is 11.5 inches. And on the half length, I'm going to place my round waist measurements divided by 4, which is 9.5 inches. And then I'll add these 2.5 inches for that, making 11.5 inches again. And on the full length of my top, I'll place my round hip measurements divided by 4 and add 2 inches for that, making 13.5 inches. So I'll go ahead to connect the points together. So guys, I didn't know I was not recording, so I'm just going to show you guys what I did. So I connected the points together and I also added 1.5 inches to all the lines for my seam allowance. Another thing I did was to come down from this upper part by 1.5 inches. So this is going to help your tube bustier sit very well at the underarm, like it won't be disturbing you. And then I connected it all the way down to the dart point. I hope you guys understand. So these shaded areas are going to be the parts we'll be cutting out. So we're going to cut out all these parts. So let's go ahead to do that. So I'll go ahead to cut it out this way. So if you're here to subscribe to my channel, so make sure you hit the subscribe button, watch my other videos, leave a comment, and just share my videos to your loved ones. I would really appreciate that. So this is me just trying to cut out the bustier. So I'll also just cut out this 1.5 inches. So you should have something that looks like this when you are done. So notice that this paper was not in a fold of 2, so I have just 1 piece each. I'm going to be cutting out 2 of these and I'm going to cut out this one on a fold. So let's work on the back. So moving over to the back, I've gone ahead to mark my basic vertical measurements just like I did with the front. So this is my bust points, this is my half length measurement, and this is the full length of the top. So I also the back panel is going to have a zipper at the center back of 1.5 inches, which I have there. I also made a simple neckline just like I did with the front, and then I placed my shoulder to shoulder measurements divided by 2 to get 8, and then this is my round armhole divided by 2. So this is just a repetition of what we did in front. So what I'm going to do now is to come down by the same 7 inches that I took for the front panel. So remember we came down by 7 inches for the front, so I'm going to do the same thing for the back, and then I will just extend the line this way. So I'll just go ahead to fold in this upper part. So I'm just doing this for you guys to understand better. So this is where I'm working on. So the next thing I'm going to do is to place my dart line, which is 4 inches, just like the front panel. Your nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2 is what you use to get your dart line. And then on this full length, I'm going to take 0.5 inches on both sides and then connect it all the way to the bust point. Connect it all the way to the bust point. So the next thing to do is to place the round body measurement. So take your measurement starting from this zipper line. So the round bust divided by 4 is 10.5 inches. And then on the half length line, my round waist measurement divided by 4 is 9.5 inches, and I'll add that half inch for that, making 10 inches. And then on this full length of my top, I'm going to mark my round hip measurements divided by 4 and add that 1 inch for that. So I'll go ahead to just connect the points together this way. Connect this one all the way up, and then I'll use my curved ruler to just curve out the lower parts. So I'm going to add my sewing allowance of 1.5 inches all the way down. So I'm going to add my seam allowance of 1.5 inches all the way down, and then I'll connect the points together this way. So So after connecting, this is what we have. So remember when we were doing the front panel, around this armhole area we came down by 1.5 inches. So for the back, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches again, but this time I'm going to do it all the way down. I'm going to just eliminate that 1.5 inches because I want the back to be lower than the front. So I'm going to cut out this part again. So before we cut this out, I will come over to this zipper allowance area around the waistline. I want to eliminate 0.5 inches from that part because I don't want any zipper bulging at the back. So I'm going to take 0.5 inches from the center back, and then I will slant it all the way up this way, and also slant it all the way down. So I'm going to be cutting out that part. So let me go ahead to just shade all the parts that we're going to cut out. So let's go ahead to cut it out. So I'm going to start with that folded part, and then I would cut out the remaining part. So I'll just take out that 1.5 inches extra. So I'm going to open up this that point completely so that we won't have any joining on the fabric. So when I'm cutting on my fabric, I'm going to just close it up this way and then cut out one full piece. So I'll be having two pieces of this. So let's go ahead to cut on the fabric. So guys, these are the patterns that we drafted out. So I'm going to use them to cut out my fabric now. So let me go ahead to do that and show you guys. So I have used the patterns to cut out my fabric, and these are the front panels. So I added half an inch all the way around for the joining allowance, and then I added half an inch at the upper part as well for turning over with the lining, and also at the lower part. So for the back panels, I only added at the upper and the lower part. So you can see how I cut out the fabric using the two patterns for the back. So I also cut out my lining pieces. So I'll remove the patterns from the fabric now while we start joining them together. So after I took out the patterns, this is what it looks like. So this is what we have. So I'm going to set the back panels aside while we work on the front. So I'm just going to arrange it open for you guys to see. So when you open up, you will have something that looks like this. So before we join these pieces together, I'm going to cut out breast pad that we're going to use to pad the bust area. So I'll just set them aside while I cut the breast pad. So I'm going to be using the same pattern to cut the breast pad, and it's going to stop at the under bust area. You can see where I'm cutting. And then for the side pad, I'm going to just come in by 4 inches on the bust point. So that 4 inches is my nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2. And then I'll connect it down to the under bust line and down to the chest line. So I'll go ahead now to cut that part out. And then I'll use it to cut out the breast pad. So this is the breast pad that I'll be using to pad the bust area of this top. So I'm going to fold it into two this way. So for this center part, I'm going to cut it in a fold of 2. So I'll cut it in a fold of 2, and the other one I'm going to cut out 2 pieces of it. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So guys, after cutting out the part, this is what it looks like. So I'll just go ahead to arrange it on the wrong side of my fabric. So when I place it on it, you're going to see all that half of an inch joining allowance. So this is what it will look like, the half of an inch joining allowance at the upper part and on the sides. So after placing it this way, I'm going to go ahead to iron this now on my fabric to activate the gum. So I'll go ahead to iron it till it's glued to the fabric. So when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys how to join these pieces of fabrics together. So after I iron the breast part to the fabric, this is what it looks like. So you can see that it's stuck to the fabric now. So the next thing to do is to join these pieces together. So I'm going to place them right sides facing each other. So you can use your pins to secure it down first before you take it to your machine, and then I'll use that half of an inch and join it all the way down together. So when I'm done with that side, I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'll place it on it this way, and then I will join it all the way down. So this same thing I'm doing on the fabric, I'm going to do it on the lining pieces as well. So when I'm done, I will show you guys the next thing to do. So after joining the 3 pieces of fabrics together, this is what it looks like. So you can see how it's coming out. So before I turn it over to the right side, I'll also notch this seam area. I'll notch it opened, and I've also joined the lining pieces just like I said earlier. So I'll make small notches on this inner seam this way. This is going to help it appear neat on the right side when you turn it over. So after doing that, go ahead to turn it over to the right side, and then you can place it on a circular surface or on your tailor's arm and just iron out that bustier area very well. This is what it looks like even before ironing. And these are the lining pieces. I've gone ahead to join the 3 pieces together. So before I turn it over with the lining, I'm going to show you guys how to insert the sleeve. So I'm making use of this soft net to form my draped sleeve. So you can use any fabric of your choice for this part. So while we were drafting the pattern for this top, remember we came down by 7 inches. So that 7 inches is what I'm going to use for the sleeve of the length of the sleeve. So for the front part, we came down by 7 inches, while the back we took 8.5 inches. So the length of this is going of the sleeve is going to be that 7 inches plus the 8.5 inches, making a total of 15.5 inches. So I added 1 extra inch to it for the joining allowance. So I have a length of 16.5 inches. And then the wideness of the fabric is going to be determined by how full you want your draping to be, how much you want the gathers to be. So for mine, I have about 25 inches here for the length of the fabric. So what you're going to do now is to determine where you want the sleeve to stop. So from this underarm area, I'm going to come in by 2 inches. So I'll do the same thing for the other side, and then you determine where you want your sleeve to start from. So mine, I started from this bustier joining, but you can make yours to start from the center point. It just depends on what you want. So you get the midpoint of that place and just go ahead to drape this fabric into that point. So you go ahead to just you finish up the edges first. So go ahead to fold in the edges twice, and then you drape your fabric into the point where you want the sleeve to start from. So you just gather it on it this way and stitch it down using that 1/2 inch seam allowance. You drape it into it this way. So you see that it depending on how much you want your gathers to be, that's going to determine how wide your fabric will be. So this is what you will have. So I'll go ahead to stitch mine now down, starting from that point I joined the bustier. So I'll do the same thing for the other side, and then I will show you guys how to turn it over with the lining. So after I draped the sleeves, this is what it looks like. So I started from the point where I joined the bustier together. So this is what we have. So you should have something that looks like this. So the next thing is to turn it over with the lining. So I'm going to just put the sleeve into it this way, put it on the right side this way, and then I'll place my lining on it. So I'll take it to my sewing machine now and just go ahead to stitch it all the way down using 1/2 inch. So I'll also close up the sides, but I'll leave a point open that I'll use to turn it over. So I'll close up the lower part as well using that 1/2 inch that we added to it. So when I'm done doing all of that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after I stitched down the lining to the fabric, this is what it looks like. So I just left the sides completely open, so you can go ahead to stitch yours down and just leave a small portion opened. So before we turn it over to the right side, I'm going to notch this seam area so that the lining relaxes well. So after that, I'll go ahead to just flip it over to the right side. So this is what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and iron this out very well, and then I'll show you guys how to attach the. So after I ironed it out, this is what it looks like. So the next thing is to join the back bodies to the sleeve. So before I join it, I'm going to come over to this sleeve, and then I would reduce the length of the part that is going towards the arm. I hope you guys understand. So I'm going to reduce that part because I want it to be firm around my armhole, around my arm I mean. So I'm going to come down by 4 inches at that edge, and then I will just go ahead to cut it out, forming a slant this way. so that by the time I am done, that part is going to fit around my sleeve. So this is what we have. So I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side. I'll come down by 4 inches in the part towards the side and just trim it out. So the next thing to do is to attach this sleeve now to the back panel. So I'm going to place the back panel on the sleeve, right sides facing each other. So I'm going to place the sleeve on the back panel this way, right sides facing each other. So there is no shoulder joining on the sleeve. So I'll take that same 2 inches that I took on the front panel this way. So this is where the sleeve is going to stop, and then I'll go ahead to gather it on my fabric this way. So I'm just going to measure what I have on the front panel. So I'll measure how much the gathers took, which is 6 inches. So I'll measure that 6 inches here and just gather it so that it's going to be straight. So go ahead to gather yours. So after stitching down, I'm going to place my lining on it this way. Place my lining on it this way, and then I'll go ahead to stitch down the top. I'm also going to close up the lower part. I'll shift the net and just close up the lower part. I'll leave the sides open. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other side, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after I stitched down the sleeve and the lining, this is what it looks like. I also closed up the lower part, so I left the sides open for turning over. So after turning over, this is what it looks like on the right side. So this is what you should have as well. So I'll go ahead to iron out this back panel very well so that the lining becomes firm on the wrong side. And then after that, I will place them right sides facing each other this way. So using the 1.5 inches we added as seam allowance, I'm going to close up the sides. So I'll repeat the same thing for this other side. I'll close up the sides again using 1.5 inches. So when I'm done with that, I will show you guys what it looks like. So after I closed up the sides using the 1.5 inches seam allowance, this is what it looks like, and this is what the back looks like. So you can see how the sleeve came out beautiful. So this is the main focus of this tutorial, how to insert the sleeve to a bustier top or dress. So the last and final thing we want to do now is to insert the zipper at the back. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you guys the finished product of this tutorial. So after inserting the zipper, this is what it looks like at the back. So this is where we'll be ending this video for today. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you learned something new. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.